being assertive, how to say no at work. Welcome back, guys. This is Victoria from Psychologist. Today in this video we are going to talk about being assertive, learning how to say no at the workplace. So understanding the art of saying no at the workplace is one of the keys to healthy and effective communication at work. In fact, learning how to say no is both a challenge for the managers, for supervisors, and even for regular employees. So it's kind of people are struggling to really say no to the requests. However, before we go deeper into the techniques, how to be more assertive, it's good to define what does it actually mean to be an assertive person. So assertiveness is a social skill when the person can clearly communicate their needs and wishes in a non-aggressive way while respecting the thoughts and wishes of others. In other words, an assertive person will not be afraid to state their position, to defend their point of view, to influence others, and to set healthy boundaries. So assertiveness is very important for the workplace. Why? So if your coordinator comes to you and assigns a task to you, even though you have such a busy schedule, how are you going to handle this situation? Are you going to say no, or are you just simply going to say yes, even though you already have too much on your plate? So saying no doesn't come to us naturally. So if you want to be more assertive, you have to learn how to stand up more for yourself, because it will help you to communicate with more self-esteem, self-confidence, and even set healthy boundaries. So assertiveness is good not only for your own success, but also for the success of the organization you are working with. And today we have Alex. Alex is a psychologist and neuroscientist, and he's going to give us a deeper insight on the topic of assertiveness at the workplace and how to learn to say no, or to be able to say no to requests when they're coming at the workplace. So my first question for you today is, we know that people are different in their approaches to work. Some people are really find it easier, let's say, to say no, and some people are struggling with this at the workplace. So is assertiveness a challenge for everyone?
So Vicky, as in life in general, different people have different difficulties in communicating no. With that being said, like extroverts, for example, find it much more easier to express their negative views on different things, like stating no, than introverts. Introverts, for example, find it much more difficult to express verbally their thoughts, their opinions, their needs, their desires around the working environment. So, for example, introverts would try to stick to a, let's say, status quo position instead of demanding change or a rearrangement around the working environment. This also means that people who usually experience fear from misunderstanding from their superiors, from their managers, they would also try to, let's say, stick to what they got, because they're afraid that they, by expressing their opinion, might lose their, let's say, status or even the job in general. So they're also like trying to keep anger away from their superiors, to control the environment. They feel more safe in, let's say, accepting more than they want, instead of going out there and expressing their opinions or needs. Also, low self-esteem in people, response in passive expressions, and also low confidence in general. So yeah, different people have different experiences in communicating their desires.
So yeah, thank you very much for this insight. So we can see that different personalities respond differently to, let's say, saying no to requests at work. And as we talked a lot about definitions, like, let's say, what is assertiveness and how to see these personalities, can you give us some examples from practice? Let's say, how to say, or example, when a person is behaving in an assertive way, more specifically, let's say, at the workplace.
Right, sure. Let's say you're having your time schedule full already with tasks for the day, but your manager or supervisor comes to you asking for an additional work that might take a lot from your time at work, but also even enter your personal plans for the day. So the need you might feel in this case, and what you want to do, is express no to the suggestion of working more or taking upon this demanding task. So what you can do is actually go to the manager and try to explain that your work schedule for the day is full, and this would mean that you won't be able to finish it. But also you offer a solution, like stating that, okay, but I can come back to it tomorrow morning, and maybe even offer to finish it by Friday, let's say. So in this case, you're not just saying no, but you're also trying to be respectful and offer a clear solution, like even like fixed with time and how you are planning to do it. And you won't kind of come up as somebody who is very, let's say, irresponsible or unorganized, but you would actually be like efficient and very still stayed on a clear path with the communication. So that's another one example.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have another one to share.
Definitely. Like, I can say from my personal experience, for example, when once, of course, my supervisor is coming to me with a task, but we have such a high volume of requests and also deadlines, which are priority, I would say. So because I couldn't do the task, let's say by the end of the week, of course, I said, no, I'm not able to complete it, let's say by the end of this week, but I will do it by the end of this month. So I give a clear response that I will still do it. I'm saying no for the timeline, but in the same time, you have a clear solution that yes, I will deliver, but just not right now. So I think this is very key point, that it's not that you just say no, but you also have to give an alternative. So what you will actually do. And when it comes to like different behaviors, so I'm coming to my third question. Many of the behaviors are, let's say, they say, or at least studies show, that can be genetically inherited. And some behaviors can be learned over time. So when we talk about assertiveness, can this behavior or personality trait be learned?
You know, assertiveness is one of those personality traits that can actually be elevated and learned over time, that we make it better and we are more efficient in interpersonal communication. So one thing that's very important is practice and addressing other problems that might be a reason for why a person is, let's say, rigid in the communication with others. So we address like a person as coming with a problem, you know, why this specific individual has this problem. Outside of that, psychologists have developed like a lot of methods and techniques of how to elevate assertiveness, and they offer a lot of, let's say, trainings, workshops, and individual practice or work where you can, let's say, work to building up better communication in general. So yeah, assertiveness is a one key point that can be very, let's say, efficiently worked upon and be addressing it in a more effective way in communication.
Well, that's actually great news for people, that assertiveness is not something that you inherit, but it's something that you can practice and something you can learn, even like outside work context, but also at work, and be better at it, let's say, with time. So you mentioned that actually there are many trainings, there are methods, maybe there are tips how to be more assertive. So let's say if the person is struggling with saying no to requests at work, can you give us some techniques, some tips of what you should do about it, and how can you improve this? Like, how can you be more assertive at workplace?
Sure, there are a variety of techniques and methods that a person can acquire to work on their assertiveness. So first of all, I would like to stress the, let's say, necessity to be self-aware of your own limitations. And in this way, you can, let's say, be very aware of your needs, of how far you set your limits and boundaries with the communication with others. So you can know what to demand and when to say no, let's say. Otherwise, you would mix the borders, let's say, with communication. Another thing that is very useful here is that the saying practice makes perfect is definitely applied. Because for a person who finds it difficult to communicate at the working environment, they can actually practice it in a much safer for them environment, like, let's say, the family, interpersonal relations with friends or even partners. So in this way, they would kind of start to raise their awareness that it's safe to express their opinions and demand or state no. So after this, they get kind of used to it, and they can apply it actually to the working setting as well, you know, to be more efficient in their communication. Another thing is that I have to mention is that saying no and stating opinion in different settings, it's like very important for building your self-esteem, like being more self-aware in a way. Also, the techniques that usually are, let's say, advised that you can use are called the 3C, for example, which are combined of three aspects that you can use in communication. The first one is, let's say, confidence. You're confident in the way that you want to express. You know, you're confident that you want this. Another C is the clarity. So you're clear in your message that you're trying to convey. It's easy to understand and it's clearly, let's say, spoken. And the third one is control. So you're in a controlled environment where you can communicate this. It's not an environment which is heated up or it's argumental or it's too much, let's say, aggressive. So you try to establish your opinion in, let's say, controlled and safe environment. Another useful techniques might be using the I statements, where you enter in a communication not with blaming the other, like you do this or you think that or you demand that, but it's more like stating with an I, like I want to, let's say, have more free time because I feel better. So basically you change the, let's say, the script that you're using in the communication and making it not attacking the other person.
Not blaming others, so you just state how you feel.
Basically it's more focused on you and not on the other person and their problems. Another very useful technique that people use, it's called the broken record technique. So this is very like, it requires maybe a little bit more experience in communicating it, but it's very simple at the end of the day. It's just like stating certain phrase, let's say key points, and trying whenever you're having the discussion, sticking to the same statement. Like not trying to, let's say, changing it up with different words, but using the same keywords. So whenever the other person is coming at you with, let's say, arguing about it, you reply using the same keyword. So you're like a broken record repeating. You can change the structure of the sentence, but you're not changing the key points you're trying to convey. So with time, this person would realize that this is something very strong in you, that you're not, let's say, flexible to change it. Because it's not, let's say, in your personal space to be wanting to change this.
Like a template. Like you have a template and you just...
you repeat it again and again till the person gets the message that you're actually sticking by this. You're keeping your identity and integrity in the communication with the other.
That's quite interesting. Thank you very much, for these tips and techniques. Actually, I'm not sure people are so familiar about them, but I think they will actually help a lot if you want to be more assertive at work, especially if you're struggling with it. And also, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video to the very end. I'm sure that you will find these techniques useful, especially for practicing assertiveness outside work and also at the workplace. I'm going to link the contact information of Alex in the description, so if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact him or me, whatever you prefer. And my question for you today is, do you find it difficult to say no to requests coming from your manager?